Onward, Christian soldiers, marching as to war, with the cross of Jesus going on before. Christ the royal master leads against the foe, forward into battle, see his banners go. Onward, Christian soldiers, marching as to war, with the cross of Jesus going on before. Oh, for a faith that will not shrink, though pressed by every foe, that will not tremble on the brink of any earthly woe, that will not murmur or complain beneath a chastening rod, but in the hour of grief or pain will lean upon its God. A faith that shines more bright and clear when tempests rage without, that when in danger knows no fear, in darkness feels no doubt. Lord, give us such a faith as this, and then whatever may come, we'll taste and hear the hallowed bliss of an eternal home. A charge to keep I have, a God to glorify, a never-dying soul to save, and fitted for the sky, to serve the present age, my calling to fulfill. Oh, may it all my powers engage to do my Master's will. Arm me with jealous care, as in thy sight to live, and O thy servant, Lord, prepare a strict account to give. Help me to watch and pray, and on thyself rely. Assured if I my trust betray, I shall forever die. Rise up, O men of God, have done with lesser things. Give heart and mind and soul and strength to serve the King of Kings. Rise up, O men of God, his kingdom tarries long. Bring in the day of brotherhood and end the night of wrong. Rise up, O men of God, the church for you doth wait. Her strength unequal to her task, rise up and make her great. Lift high the cross of Christ, tread where his feet have trod, as brothers of the Son of Man. Rise up, O men of God.
Does that mean we have 2 streams going? Get one killed. CJ. I don't know why. Someone hit the go live. So, you both hit the go live at the same time. So you guys are going to have to figure this out and kill one. Go find the one that has if you can find the one that has 2 people on it. I don't know how. Kill the other one. And Alicia, if you could possibly, when you get done tagging, come in and turn on the light. How y'all doing this evening? Such is the shenanigans striking again. You know, we are edifying the saints with professionalism and shenanigans over here. So remember, let's edify. I'm going to need my Bible too, Alicia. And Mom's tablet. Or rather, Mom's tablet would be a better one. Sister Angie asked me to look into something. I had a question for me. Do you remember what that one was, CJ?
No.
So on Monday night.
I don't remember a question on Monday night. Was that one not too little while, y'all?
Was it Monday night or was it Sunday night? Sunday night. It was Sunday night while we were waiting for you to get your presentation done. She asked me a question. And now some of my destinations have errors. I wonder which one that one is. My suggestion is, I don't know. I still got one person. So I'm just, whatever.
I don't know. Maybe I deleted the wrong one.
Well, the fact that I still have a person on here, I think shows that you didn't.
Well, I just commented on the one that's still up, and it didn't show up.
It didn't show up?
It's,
Whoopsie! Well, shut down the Facebook and restart it real quick then. Alicia says she sees it on Facebook. But we don't see it on StreamYard, Alicia.
Craig says hi.
That means that you did kill the wrong one because I can't see it on StreamYard.
And there's 3 on that one. Alright, we're gonna just kill it on Facebook.
And restart it.
Yep. No, can't do that either, StreamYard says.
Why not?
I don't know. When I tried to kill it, it said an error occurred. Oh, now I did. Okay.
You did?
Let me make sure it's
There it
not.
is. Yep, it's gone.
Let me make sure we're not live on Facebook. That is so weird.
Alicia. Yeah.
We're still live.
You can actually hear me commenting over there.
That's weird. You're still live. I don't
It's
know
going
what.
to take a little bit for it to actually kill, I imagine.
No, like new phrases like you're saying right now, I can hear them on Facebook.
Light.
That's funny. You're still going.
Weird.
I'm gonna kill this, I guess. Ooh, but we got 5 people on. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Reba. We're gonna kill this stream and be right back.
I'm live.
Okay. Move the trash. So we are not. Okay.
Yeah. It is.
All right. You should be live now. Yeah, you're live. Alicia's gonna have to do tagging again.
Hi, Sam. What, Sam? Do you remember what the Angie's question was from Sunday night?
Is Alicia gonna tag again?
Yeah,
Okay.
pretty sure she is. Oh, she's in the kitchen right at the moment. Hello, Heather. Well, I'm just going to have to go back and look at it. And I was going to have it for tonight, but I totally forgot about it till we got to this point in time. And then I was going to look at it, see what I could come up with. And I can't remember what it is. And now it was on Sunday night as we were getting ready for CJ's presentation. And she asked it right before we turned it over to CJ. And I asked her that we could, because I wanted to study a little bit more on it, and I couldn't remember it. Hello, Reba. Now I can't remember it. Higher ground. I'm pressing on the upward way, new heights I'm gaining every day, still praying as I onward bound. Lord, plant my feet on higher ground. Lord, lift me up and let me stand by faith on heaven's stable land, a higher plane than I have found. Lord, plant my feet on higher ground. You needed the tagging.
I did that.
You have to do it again because we just restarted the Facebook stream. My heart has no desire to stay where doubts arise and fears dismay, though some may dwell where these abound. My prayer, my aim is higher ground. Lord, lift me up and let me stand by faith on heaven's tableland, a higher plane than I have found. Lord, plant my feet on higher ground. I want to live above the world, though Satan's darts at me are hurled. For faith has caught the joyful sound, the song of saints on higher ground. Lord, lift me up and let me stand by faith on heaven's tableland, a higher plane than I have found. Lord, plant my feet on higher ground. I want to scale the utmost height and catch a gleam of glory bright, but still I'll pray till heaven I've found. Lord, lead me on to higher ground. Lord, lift me up and let me stand by faith on heaven's tableland, a higher plane than I have found. Lord, plant my feet on higher ground. That's what it was, Sam. Thank you. About Angie asked about being entered into the book of life. Are we entered in when we are baptized, or at some other point and time? It's really interesting, the idea about the book. The idea that God has a book. Hello, Craig. Good to see you now. Now that I can see you. Hey, Alicia. You're gonna have to redo some of these, especially seeing as how you got the older one that was on the counter there. But some of these, the spots in them need to be taken out. And if you could slice them up for me, that would be great. Woo! The idea that God has a book wherein he writes the names of people is not new or not unique to the New Testament. In fact, Moses was the very first one to mention it. In Exodus chapter 32, if Alicia will bring that up, that one's a potent. That is a nice, potent reddish. Alicia's doing a whole bunch of tagging, but after the incident of the what's the word? The golden calf, and Israel being punished, or a whole 3,000 men being slain by the tribe of Levi. Hello, Darlene. How you doing, sister love? Wow, we've got a nice crew in here tonight. Moses goes to God on behalf of the people. Remember, Moses is a mediator. What does a mediator do? Alicia, bring me up to Exodus chapter 32, please. Go down to, let's begin verse 30. What is the purpose of a mediator? Well, in Moses' case, you're right, Sam. But on the basis, on the basic definition, what is a mediator? What function does a mediator serve? Well, we continue to pray for you there, Sister Darlene. CJ says go between two parties. For what purpose? I mean, a messenger goes between two parties. A party goer goes between two parties. No, I know. CJ's just shaking his head on that one. Sam says one who speaks on both parties' behalf. Reba says to keep peace. How about more the idea to resolve an issue? To bring about reconciliation is a good way to look at it. To resolve an argument, an issue between two parties, right? Two opposing factions. On the one hand, you have, in this case, you have God, righteous, holy, and blameless. He has given Israel his commandments. He spoke them to Israel. They knew that the first commandment, you shall have no other God before me. They knew the second commandment, you shall not make any graven image. And what did they do? They did both. They broke both of those commandments. On the other hand, you have Israel, who had transgressed the law of God. They had offended and had started a war, if you will, a spiritual war with God. They were in a spiritual argument, disagreement. They had broken their covenant. And so right smack dab in the middle, you have Moses. And it comes to pass on the morrow that Moses said unto the people, "You have sinned a great sin, and now I will go up unto the Lord. Peradventure, I shall make an atonement for your sin." The word peradventure simply is perhaps. Take us over to the NKJV, Alicia, for verse 30. So make sure you nail verse 30 before you go over to the new version. Thank you. Perhaps I can make atonement for you, your sin. Sam's grabbing his notebook. So Moses then, he tells the people, you have sinned a great sin. Moses was not part of their sin, was he? Alyssa, could you come get this and peel these for me real quick? The outer side is kind of woody. While you're doing that, I mean, I appreciate that, sweetheart. You are a darling.
Which one?
All of them. The squishy one you can set off to the side. Sam, are you back with your notebook now? And remember, the replay is always available. That is, most of the time. Don't you like how I did that? It's always available most of the time. So then Moses returned. As I said, Moses was not part of their sin because Moses had been up on the mountain when they had sinned, which makes Moses an ideal candidate as a go-between. Here he is, human, understanding their weaknesses, yet not a part of their sin. So in this matter, he's blameless. Mind you of somebody else? So, Alicia, are you back in the office? Okay. So then Moses returned to the Lord, and he says, "Oh, these people have committed a great sin and have made for themselves a god of gold. Yet now, if you will forgive their sin," in other words, please forgive their sin. "But if you won't, I pray, blot me out of your book which you have written." So Moses here expresses the idea, in essence, of the book of life. And he actually asked to take the place of those who had sinned. He was willing. Yes?
This is a good picture of Jesus. I never thought of.
That's what I was getting ready to say.
Sorry.
Moses was willing to sacrifice himself on behalf of the people that had sinned. Paul kind of does the same thing, as I recall. He says, I wish that I could save everyone and myself be damned, I think is how he puts it. I'm a little off in that. Maybe CJ can find that passage. He might know what I'm talking about. But Moses was willing to sacrifice himself. And he's the one that first promotes the idea that God has a book of life. I wonder where he got that idea from. You got a specific verse or verses for me, brother? But the Lord says, no, no, not going to happen. He says to Moses, whoever has sinned against me, I will blot him out of my book. And then he says, go therefore and lead the people. He sends him back to do his, do the responsibility that he had laid on him. So when were these people written into God's book? And I submit to you that I don't know. My suspicion is that they were written in when they made the covenant with God. You found, wasn't that in the Blazer or in the Suburban? Oh. Let's see here. I wanted to see if there was a specific. I think it might have been, when Exodus 19, when God says that now, therefore, in verse 5, Exodus 19, verse 5, yeah, therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine, and you shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words which you shall speak unto the king, unto the children of Israel. And Moses came and called for the elders of the people, laid before their faces all these words which the Lord commanded him. And all the people answered together and said, all that the Lord hath spoken, we will do. And Moses returned to the words of the people unto the Lord. So, in other words, there was the covenant made. Now, as we look further into the book of life, phrasing, we then come over to, well, we have another phrase as well regarding your book or thy book, and that's when let me look at that one real quick. Hang on. In Psalm 56, verse 8, I have two more passages in the Old Testament to look about with regarding God's book. Psalm 56, verse 8, Alicia. Psalm 56, verse 8. Not 86. I said 56, verse 8. Thank you. You number my wanderings, put my tears in your bottle. Are they not in your book? Where God keeps a record even of your tears. God knows your tears. God knows your sorrows. And that kind of goes along with the connotation or the idea that Jesus puts forth later when he says, even the hairs of your head are numbered. So God knows everything about you. Carry this a little bit further. He has, in other words, he has a book of all your tears and of those who have hurt you, etc. But carrying this further, go to Psalm 139, and beginning in verse 13. 139, beginning in verse 13. Psalm 139, beginning in verse 13. Sam says, when God made a covenant with them, but stay in the book of life, one must obey God. Just to say they had to stay faithful because God got a big eraser. And you saw that in Exodus 32, right, Sam? Verse 13, Alicia. For you formed my inward parts. You covered me in my mother's womb. I will praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are your... We're going to keep reading here for a bit. Are your works, and that my soul knows very well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in secret and skillfully wrought in the lowest parts of the earth. Your eyes saw my substance being yet unformed, and in your book they all were written, the days fashioned for me, when as yet there were none of them. How precious are your thoughts to me, O God. How great is the sum of them. David says that you already know all of my days. And this one here goes kind of along with the idea, as well as the tears one, with the idea that we each have a book. We each have a record, rather, of our deeds. And we're going to be given account for even our idle words. And isn't that a scary thought? So you almost have a double book idea being carried forth. You got a book of life, those who are written in the Lamb's book of life, and then you have a book detailing every deed, thought, word that you have, even every member of your body. So yeah, there's a definite idea of the book of life, or book in the Old Testament. Now, we saw in Moses's words about the book of life, and as I said, I suspect that they were written in when they made the covenant. And when they broke the covenant is when they were in danger and they were blotted out. For, God said that I will blot him whom I will blot out, him who had sinned against me. Philippians 4 and verse 3, Alicia. Philippians 4 and verse 3 is the very first reference to the book of life in the entire Bible. Philippians 4 and verse 3. And I urge you also, true companion, help those women who labored with me in the gospel, with Clement also, and with the rest of my fellow workers, whose names are in the book of life. So we have the idea again of a book that the names are recorded unto life. As in those who are bestowing, or who are not bestowing, but who are receiving, or who are worthy, who are going to receive life. And you have those women which labored with Paul in the gospel, and with Clement and other fellow laborers, and their names were in the book of life. If you looked at verse 2, you saw Euodia and Euodias and Syntyche, who were kind of at odds with each other. And Paul tells them to, I beseech Euodias and Syntyche that they be of the same mind, come to unity. And I entreat thee also, help those women. And then the rest of the time that this phrase is found in the New Testament, or in the book, in the Bible, is found in the book of Revelation, where we begin in Revelation 3 and verse 5. Alicia. Good night, Craig. You have a good evening. And hopefully it'll be not quite as strenuous tomorrow. Revelation chapter 3. Verse 5. We're talking about the church of Smyrna. And Jesus says, he who overcomes shall be clothed in white garments, and I will not blot out his name from the book of life, but I will confess his name before my Father and before his angels. Jesus has a book of life wherein those names are written that he will confess before his Father and his Father's angels, his Father's messengers. What was the requirements for Jesus to confess our name before God? Does anybody remember? CJ says, if we confess him before men. Matthew 10:32. Matthew 10:32. Sam, but I was referring to what were the requirements? Yes, we have to be found in him, but Jesus gave a certain requirement. And here it is, Matthew 10:32. Whosoever therefore shall confess me before men, him will I confess also before my Father, which is in heaven. But whosoever shall deny me before men, him will I also deny before my Father which is in heaven. Interesting point. This is in the same passage of scripture we referred to earlier when we talked about the very hairs of our head being numbered. That's Matthew 10, verse 30. But Jesus set that requirement. If you want him to confess you before God, you have to confess him before men. You can find that also in Luke 12:8. In Luke 12 and verse 8. And Jesus says, going back to Revelation 3 and verse 5, that those whose names are in the book of life, the one that overcomes, Revelation 3 verse 5, if you would, so we can see this, Alicia. He who overcomes shall be clothed in white garments, and I will not blot his name from the book of life, but I will confess his name before my Father and before his angels. So what do we have? What kind of a picture do we get there? If we overcome, our names are in the book of life. If our names are in the book of life, Jesus will confess us before the Father. Ergo, those whose names are in the book of life are the ones who have confessed Christ, because that's what his requirement is for confession before God and the Father. If you want your name written in the book of life, you have to confess Christ before men. And you have to remain faithful. You have to overcome the trials and temptations, remaining faithful to Jesus. Now, on a counter note, Revelation 17:8. Where Revelation 17 verse 8. What do you need? Oh, Shua, your sister needs a bowl. The beast that you saw was, and is not, and will ascend out of the bottomless pit and go to perdition. And those who dwell on the earth will marvel, whose names are not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they see the beast that was and is not and yet is. So what we see then is that there are people that are wondering, who are basically following the beast, and their names are not written in the book of life. And they weren't written in the book of life from the foundation of the world. Well, how is that possible? Remember that God knows. He knows all. He knows you. Thank you. They that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world. In some ways, what we see is that the book of life has existed from the foundation of the world. And everyone from the foundation of the world that has wondered at the beast that was, and the beast that is not, and the beast that is, and yet is. So, in other words, the beast that has been throughout all this time has brought this wonder, this one. I'm flubbing this up. CJ, do you understand what I'm trying to say?
So basically, you're making a point that God knows who will obey Him from the foundation of the world. So, in one sense, the name's already written in the book of life, but God's not the one that chose it. Is that the point you're trying to get?
Half the point. Half the point, yes. The other half is that this book of life has existed from the foundation of the world, and every person who has been from the foundation of the world and has been marveling at this beast, we're looking at everyone that has been from the foundation of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And they're these people. These are the people that have not had their names written in the book of life. Just like Jesus comes back and takes all of those whose name are written in the book of life. He takes all of, from the foundation of the world. Ever since the world began, everyone who has been obedient to God since the world began are written in the book of life, and everyone who has been disobedient to God since the world began are not written in the book of life.
It's interesting to me, a side point, squirrel, that those that follow the beast are not even worthy of a book of condemnation. It's only focused on it, unless I missed the passage that mentions that, but it's only focused on the faithful.
Well, I'm not actually. Yeah, because that's total squirrel, but I haven't because we're not even focusing on that ourselves. I haven't actually studied that part, so that's a new one. I'll have to go look at that one. Thanks for bringing that one up. And thanks for bringing that one up.
Well,
I think the idea here in verse 8 is that we are looking at the totality of people from the beginning of the world that have not had their name written in the book of life. Not necessarily that say that we're going to pick on CJ since he's right there. Not saying that CJ that God knew and did not write CJ's name in the book of life at the beginning of the world. Does that make sense? The more I think about it, the more the more I believe it looks at it from an internal, or from the beginning of time, the entirety of people who have not obeyed, who have not had their names written in the book of life, rather than God knowing rather than the omniscience of God.
yeah, I think that makes sense. Yeah, and notice, I guess that would go to your point. Sorry, I don't want to take over your study here, but it doesn't this text doesn't say before the foundation of the world, right? It says,
Right. It says from the foundation of the world.
right, so we're working from the creation of man onward.
Yeah, and I think that's why I'm looking at it in that aspect. Does that make
Interesting point. Good point.
so? These are people who have not obeyed, who have been stricken from the book of life, or have not had their name written in the book of life. From the and this began at the beginning of the creation and all the way through. This is every soul who had who had. That's a lot of people. That's a total lot of people who are wondering and who are following the beast, who are amazed at him, um, and have succumbed to him, and thus their names were not written in the book of life. Now we come to the idea that we have in the judgment day, Revelation 20 and beginning in verse 12. That was a good radish. Revelation 20, verse 12. Ooh, that one's got a sweetness to it. Yummy. Revelation 20, verse 12. And I saw the dead, small and great, standing before God, and books were open. Books. It doesn't. Well, the King James says the books. The NKJV says books. And another book was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged according to their works by the things which were written in the books. Yeah, that's because we kind of peeled it. Now, what does that mean? It's a judgment day. We talked about how our tears are written in the book, in books. It talks about our wanderings written in the books. It talks about how even our members and our hairs are recorded. And the books were then opened, and another book was opened, which is the book of life. So what we see is this really great picture, actually. You have every man's life laid out in a book, and then you have the book of life.
I have to retract my statement then.
What?
When I said there's not a book of condemnation.
Well, there may be a book of actual condemnation that actually, I don't know.
Listen, that
Is there a phrase called the book of condemnation?
I don't think so.
Oh.
But I remember. Sorry, squirrel.
But the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books according to their works. We're going to be judged according to what we do. And death and Hades were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. Now where's 13? I missed 13. What was 13? Oh, the sea gave up its dead, and death and Hades delivered up the dead who were in them, and they were judged each one according to their works. So we have the books opened. The dead were all judged according to their works, according to the books. And anyone not, verse 15, and whosoever or anyone who was not, verse 15, you who, anyone who is not found in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire. This means that you and I are going to be judged according to our works, but if our name isn't in the book of life, what we do doesn't matter. Cross-reference that, if you will, with Matthew chapter 7, beginning in verse 21. Please, Alicia. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he who does the will of my Father in heaven. Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in your name, cast out demons in your name, and done many wonders in your name? Then will I say and declare unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye workers, you who practice lawlessness. The books are open, and the other book that is opened is the book of life. And even though you say that you're doing something, even though I say that I'm doing something in the name of the Lord, if it's not in accordance to the will of God, the Father in heaven, then when they check the record on the book in the book of life, my name's not there. Hey, Angie, we took your question from Sunday and are running with it. So whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into, is cast into the lake of fire. So even though we may say that we're doing something in the name of the Lord, if it's not according to the will of God, if it's not written according to what God has revealed to us, his perfect will, Jesus is going to say, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who practice lawlessness. So in verse 12, in verse 12 here in Revelation 20, we see that there are books open which contain our works. And when we look at those works, or when God looks at those works, what we have done with our life, and he examines them, and then he looks over at the Lamb's book of life, and he doesn't see our name, where are we going to go? Jesus says right here in verse 23 of Matthew 7, depart from me, you who practice lawlessness. Do you suppose do you suppose that the Lamb who wrote the names in the book of life would know those that he wrote down in the book of life? I mean, if he's doing the writing the names down in his book of life, I would think that he would know the ones that he's writing. And yet he says in here to these people who have done all these things in his name, I never knew you. You're not in my book. You didn't do the will of my Father in heaven. I don't know you. You're not in my book. Leave. And Revelation 20, verse 15, Alicia. Let's go back there. 20, verse 15, not 8. Oh no, Angie's losing connection. Are you crinkling the tinfoil, Angie? I love you, my sister. Scariest words depart from me. And Sam says, when we practice, what we practice is what we get rewarded or punished for. If we practice lawlessness, we're going to be punished for lawlessness or rewarded for it. And the reward for lawlessness is punishment. Because those who the Lamb did not record in his book are cast in the lake, which burns with fire, and in the lake of fire. Revelation 21, verse 27. 21, verse 27. But there shall by no means enter it anything that defiles or causes an abomination or a lie, but only those who are written in the Lamb's book of life. This is talking about the new kingdom, the heaven, actually, the city of the New Jerusalem. There it is, verse 10. The only people entering into the New Jerusalem are those who are written in the book of life. At what point do we enter the New Jerusalem? Sam says we must labor to enter. CJ says Acts 2:38 and 47. And the Lord added to the church daily such as should be saved.
We had a big discussion.
Ephesians.
What?
We did, didn't we?
Well, me and Sam had a big discussion on what Revelation 21 is talking about. And if it's still talking about the church,
Absolutely.
it is talking about when you enter the church. And we can look at Acts 2:38 or 47, coupling that with Colossians 1:13.
Well, there's a better if you don't mind my saying, there is a better connection. If you look at verse 2 of Revelation 21. I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. What is the bride? Who is the bride? CJ says the church, according to Ephesians 5:23. Take us to Ephesians 5:23. Sam says we are the church. Reba says his church. For the husband is the head of the wife, as also Christ is the head of the church. He is the Savior of the body. But there is talks about the bride.
Second 27:28.
What?
Second 27:20.
Okay, well, let's take us down to 27 and 28.
I think he connects this at the end here.
That he might present himself a glorious church. Let's
26.
verse 26, Alicia. Oh, let's keep going.
Sorry.
Back it up. Let's read it. Let's read the passage. Husbands, love your own wives, verse 25. Just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for her, that he might sanctify and cleanse her with the washing of the water, or of water by the word, that he might present her to himself a glorious church, not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, that she should be holy and without blemish. So husbands ought to love their own wives as their own bodies. He who loves his wife loves himself. For no one ever hated his own flesh, but nourishes and cherishes it, just as the Lord does the church. I'm jumping over there because I think I know where it's at. For we are members of his body and of his flesh and his bones.
I think it might be the last verse where he connects it and says, I talked about husbands and wives, but really I've talked about Christ and the church, right? Doesn't he say that at the end of the section here? I tell you a mystery, I'm speaking of Christ and the church.
For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall be joined unto his wife. The two shall be one flesh. This is a great mystery, but I speak concerning Christ and the church. Verse 32. Nevertheless, let every one of you in particular so love his wife as he, even him as himself, and the wife see that she reverence her husband. See if it comes down to this. Oh. I know that Jesus refers to the kingdom, which refers to himself as the bridegroom. Look at Revelation 21, verse 9. Just as a, let's see. Okay. 21, verse 9. Revelation 21, 9. Then one of the seven angels who had the seven bowls filled with the seven last plagues came to me and talked with me and saying, Come, I will show you the bride, the Lamb's wife. Now, and he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain and showed me that great city, verse 10, the holy Jerusalem descending out of heaven from God. Okay, this is the bride of Christ. This is the wife of Christ. Why would Christ want to love the church and present it to himself like a husband and a wife? Ephesians 5. If it wasn't his wife. If the church is not the wife of the bride of Christ, Ephesians 5:23, then him presenting it to himself, spotless and blameless, and loving it as a husband loves a wife, makes him a what? No, not quite what I was meaning, CJ. If we're looking at the New Jerusalem as the bride, as the wife of Christ, and it's not the church, yet he loves the church as a wife.
So sorry. He's a polygamist.
He's a fornicator.
Yeah. Sorry, I
You missed it.
I missed it. I went past the.
Right. Sam puts up John 3:29 because he got impatient with me. He that hath the bride is the bridegroom, but the friend of the bridegroom which standeth and heareth him rejoiceth greatly because the bridegroom's voice. This my joy therefore is fulfilled. And he's back. So what we see then, just and that was a total squirrel, Sam and CJ. We can see that the New Jerusalem in Revelation chapter 19 is the church. The church is the bride of Christ. The New Jerusalem is the bride of Christ. And and thus the two are equal and the same, and yada yada yada. Revelation 19, however, we were dealing with not 19, Revelation 21. We were dealing with the idea of the book of life. No one can enter the church, the New Jerusalem, whose name is not in the Lamb's book of life. Therefore, in answer to Angie's question from Sunday, Those who are obedient unto the will of God, Acts chapter 2, verse 38 through 42, are added to the church, Acts chapter 2, verse 47. And that's when they have their name written in the book of life, because you cannot enter the church except that you have your name written in the book of life. So let's go back to 38. Let's see what the requisites are. Okay, 38. Then Peter said to them, repent and let every one of you be baptized in the name of Jesus Christ for the remission of sins, and you shall receive the gift of the Holy Spirit. For the promise is to you and to your children and to all who are afar off, as many as the Lord your God will call. And with many other words he testified and exhorted them, saying, be saved from this perverse generation. Then those who gladly received his words were 41 baptized. And that day about 3,000 souls were added to them, the disciples. Okay, those that continued steadfastly in the apostles' doctrine and fellowship and in breaking of bread and in prayers. Now, skip down to 47. They were, let's look at 46 real quick. Get the whole sentence. So, continuing daily with one accord in the temple and breaking bread from house to house, they ate their food with gladness and simplicity of heart, praising God and having favor with all the people. And the Lord added to the church daily those who were being saved. And as we noted here in Revelation chapter 21, verse 27, switch. Revelation 21, verse 27. But there shall by no means enter it anything that defiles or causes an abomination or a lie, but only those who are written in the Lamb's book of life. God adds to the church those who are being saved. God adds to the New Jerusalem those whose names are written in the Lamb's book of life.
Maybe this is a small point, but every word of the Bible matters. It does not say those who have been written in the book of life, but those who are written. It's a present word. God's still writing, God's still adding to the church.
The only thing I have about that, CJ, is what tense is the word written? What does the word written mean?
It can mean past tense, but it can also be modified, right?
Nope. The verb written is past tense. It is the past tense of write. The future tense or present tense, well, the present tense is writing. The helping verb is descriptive. You are right. The words matter. And it's not saying you're right in addition, saying it's not were written, but rather who are written, and that is present tense, always present tense.
Right.
Not future tense, That would be who will be written. Rather, it is present tense, who are written. In other words, by the time that Revelation 21, verse 27 comes into, the judgment day comes into effect. Well, Revelation 21, verse 27 is not talking about the judgment day. But anyhow, it's the entrance into heaven.
Into the church.
It's present. So that means then, think of it this way. It kind of goes in contrast, or in alongside with what we were talking about earlier about the names written in the book of life from the foundation of the world.
Right.
And it goes alongside your point that it is still being done.
Right.
It's present. You
That,
can still have your name written in the book of life.
that's what I was trying to say. That word, yes, written by itself is past.
But the helping verb is what's
Right,
the matter.
that makes it wouldn't I guess written could be both depending on the helping verb because wrote is past tense. Written,
So is written.
it can be, yes. I've written.
The helping verb is the fact is that written needs a helping verb to determine which what it means.
Right.
Were is past, will be is future, are is present.
Right.
And like you said, it means it's very, very important to note this.
I think every word is intentional in that sentence.
I do too. I think every word in the scriptures is intentional. And what it means to us is this: you are not saved and then added to the church. You're not saved and then written in the book of life. You're not written in and then saved or then added to the church either. These all happen simultaneously.
That's right.
When you are baptized in obedience to the will of God, when you have devoted your life to God and committed your life to God through obedience to His will, His divine requirements, then you at the very instance you give that life, you obey that will, your name is written and you are added. Notice how in the New King James it says the Lord added such as were being saved, or such as those who were being saved. So the added happens at the time of the salvation. If that's at the time that they were that the salvation was happening, or the adding was happening, then the writing in the book of life was the same way. It was done at the same time. It's important to notice this. Yes. So I
That
hope.
that
Yes.
That was my point in a nutshell. You just articulated better than I did.
So I hope we have answered your question, Angie, and I know that because of your internet connection, you weren't able to be here for all of it, and I know that you came in late. But I hope and pray that you'll go back and watch the rest of it, because we did take your question and we ran with it. No, Sam, I'm not going to sing another song because we are already at an hour and a half. But if we were going to, I would definitely sing that song because that's a wonderful song to sing. Each day I'll do, or a beautiful life. Each day I'll do a golden deed by helping those who are in need. In actuality, I wouldn't sing that one in closing with this one because I think that the better one is
My
my
name
name
is
is in the book of life.
life for us in the name of Jesus.
So, Angie, I wish to thank you for a wonderful study. That was an excellent question and one that is definitely needed. Um, and I hope and pray that anyone who watches gets the gets some edification out of this. And I appreciate that, sister. I hope and pray that you have been edified to a deeper understanding of the scriptures, a deeper understanding of salvation, a closer relationship with God through our time spent together, because I want you all to be in heaven. That's our ultimate goal. And that way, whether we wake tomorrow to serve God here on this earth, or we wake tomorrow to serve Him up there, you know where we'll be, because I'll